Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Dam and you are watching Flick Connection, the show that helps you get more out of movies. And today I want to tell you about some of the best movies you can currently watch for free right here on YouTube. So my subscribers know I typically am recommending movies on Netflix, Prime, Hulu, but YouTube has a decent catalog of movies, and I say decent because a lot of them suck, but these 10 are really great and they don't last long. So be sure to click that subscribe button so you get notified when I put out new videos like this one. And if this isn't enough for you, most of the ones, not all, but most of the ones on my previous YouTube list are still available. I'll put a link to that video in the description as well. But my number 10 pick for this list is a little known movie called The Good Neighbor. Now this actually stars James Caan in a small supporting role, and he plays this older man that lives across the street from these two teenage boys who find his activities somewhat suspicious, and they decide to start setting up some cameras and try to figure out what is going on because they think something very nefarious is going on next door. This is similar to a movie Shia LaBeouf did called Disturbia. This one's interesting because it's low budget. A lot of it is done in sort of found footage format. Not necessarily the shaky cameras, but these kids set up cameras in his house, and a lot of the movie plays out as what they're watching or going back and rewatching. It works though. I didn't feel like it felt very much like a found footage movie, but it very much is. James Caan is surprisingly good in it, and the boys are pretty good in it too. Not a stellar movie, but that's why I got it all the way back here at number 10. But for like a hidden gem I know a lot of you probably have not seen, this is a good pick. But an even better hidden gem that I know a lot of people haven't seen is my number 9 pick, The Brass Teapot.
I'm so sorry for this, John. Look, it gives you money when you hurt yourself.
Now this is a basic setup. All you need to know is what this one is about, and if it interests you, watch it. But the setup is there's this magic teapot that grants you money the more you hurt yourself. So this couple sort of finds this thing and is able to start sort of just like punching each other in the face and to get money. But in order to get more and more, they have to get more and more extreme. This one's got some levity to it. It's not quite as dark as it sounds, but you do see some graphic imagery in it. It's not over the top, but it is there. And again, it's got a little bit of a quirkiness to it too that's kind of fun. So if that interests you, this is your movie. Definitely check it out while it's still on YouTube. If none of that interests you, this is not a good enough of a movie to sort of hold your attention if the hook doesn't get you.
I'm glad I'm with you.
Butch Cassidy himself.
We are not gonna die, old man.
BLACKTHORN is a really old-fashioned Western that's only a few years old, and it's one of Sam Shepard's last movies before he died. It's fairly slow-paced, but it's got some great cinematography and a great performance from Sam Shepard. I always love seeing him in movies. He was such a good supporting actor for so long. He's been in so many things. It's good to see him sort of lead off a movie like that at the end of his career as well. But I say old-fashioned Western because this is a movie for Western fans. If you typically don't like Westerns, the BLACKTHORN is not going to be one to win you back to that genre. There may be some others that I'll talk about on this channel at some point. BLACKTHORN's not one of them. This is for my Western fans. If you like them, you'll dig this one enough to make it worth the 90 minutes it takes to watch it. The Ghost Rider stars Ewan McGregor and Pierce Brosnan, and Pierce Brosnan plays an ex-prime minister, whereas McGregor is a ghostwriter brought in to sort of write his memoirs, and through the process of interviewing him and getting notes to write this book, he starts to uncover this sort of like dark secret. It's not an espionage movie, but it has that feel to it, because that's basically what's happening. It's sort of like this guy sort of falls ass backwards into this case that he starts to try to solve. So that's very interesting. It's got this slow melodic pace to it, but it keeps moving. I shouldn't even say slow. It's kind of a quiet movie. Everything's sort of subtle, but it just keeps moving and it keeps escalating, and it's hard to tell kind of where things are going. If you like those actors and you like sort of like intense sort of, again, espionage type stuff, this isn't a spy movie, but it's definitely going to scratch that itch if that's what you're looking for. My number 6 pick is Ghost World. Now this one has kind of a cult following, but it's this little indie flick about these teenage girls. It focuses on one in particular, and while it is about a lot of things and it sort of goes in different directions as a lot of indie films from this era do, it really focuses on this teenage girl's relationship with an older man played by Steve Buscemi. Now that didn't mean they have a romantic relationship, but it develops in sort of weird, interesting ways, and there's a lot of elements to it that I like. I think the performances are great. Scarlett Johansson has an early performance in here, and it's a good, fairly beloved movie, but just be aware that it is one of those sort of like late 90s, early 2000s indie flicks that's got a lot of the sort of like culture of the time wrapped up in it, and it just sort of meanders along. There's not really a plot to it, but it is a very enjoyable film, and there's a reason why it's such a cult classic today, and it truly is one of the better movies currently available on YouTube. Now at the top of the video I mentioned if you do not have these movies available to you right now, you can access them using CyberGhost VPN. Now, like all VPNs, CyberGhost protects your web browsing, it keeps it secure, protects your identity, but they also have specialized servers that are going to allow you to access websites as if you were in different countries. So if you're in another country, you can watch all the things currently available in the US, and not just on YouTube. You can do that on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, on Hulu, by using the correct servers with your CyberGhost account. And right now you can sign up for as little as $2.75 a month and access way more movies than you have access to right now. They have an excellent 45-day money-back guarantee, so even if you don't find that you're getting good use out of it, you can just cancel it and get your money back, no problem. They have great 24/7 customer support, and you can use it simultaneously on up to 7 devices, and that's devices like Mac, Android, Linux, Chrome, Fire Stick, and more. And again, they have a rate starting at $2.75 per month, as well as some other pricing packages. But follow the link in the description and see if CyberGhost is a good fit for you in helping you unlock and access way more movies than you're watching right now.
You fellas have a lot of growing up to do, I'll tell you that. Ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. You know what hurts the most is the lack of respect. You know? That's what hurts the most. Except for the other thing. That hurts the most, but the lack of respect hurts the second most.
Okay, while my next pick is not necessarily the best movie, I guess I'm using air quotes, I love Dirty Work, starring Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang. This is a movie that I rented multiple times when I was in high school. I just find it hilarious. The only downside is it probably should be rated R, so they could have pushed a few jokes a little further. Chevy Chase has one of his better late roles. It's kind of a cameo performance, but it's one of the last movies he was really good in. And then I just love Norm Macdonald's sense of humor. While he's not really a good actor at all, it somehow works together. The jokes are great. I just find this movie exceptionally funny, and it's got other great cameos from people like Chris Farley. If you've never seen this one and you find that you like my sense of humor, definitely check out Dirty Work. However, if you don't find that you like maybe earlier Adam Sandler movies like Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison, while Dirty Work's not exactly like them, odds are if you don't like those, you're probably not going to dig Dirty Work either. Now, Out of Time is one of Denzel Washington's more vanilla roles. It doesn't feel like a Denzel Washington role to me. It feels like almost anybody could have done it. Yet it's still pretty great, if you get what I'm saying. It's one of his more mediocre movies, and I still really enjoy it, and I recommend it. This is just sort of a fun, fast-paced mystery where this guy's trying to uncover this mystery as he's sort of like incriminated in a crime, and he's got a very, very tight time frame to prove that he's not, and it plays out really well. It's one of those movies where the plot and the trailer just didn't sell me, and I had no real interest in watching it, and I was just pleasantly surprised. And I don't know why, I always liked Denzel Washington. This one just seemed a little bit basic, and he manages to elevate an otherwise sort of basic run-of-the-mill movie here. Now, one of the weirder ones on this list that is certainly a hidden gem is TROLLHUNTER. Now, this one is foreign language, but it is super cool. It's about these troll hunters that are going out. It is a found footage setup, but the trolls are not little bridge trolls. They are gigantic. There's all this mythology wrapped up into this one. It's got some amazing visual effects with these giant trolls that just seem to get kind of bigger and bigger. In addition to that, it's got some really tense sequences and some really smart clever setups throughout. This is just a real gem of a movie that I was lucky enough to see in a theater, and I had a blast. And I've watched it more than once since the theater, and it's always a good time. If it's been a while since you feel like you've seen something different and unique, definitely watch Troll Hunter. It's going to be one of the more interesting and unique things you've seen in a really long time. My number 2 pick is The Secret of NIMH. Now, this is an animated movie from the 80s that is really beautiful. Now, while it is animated, that doesn't mean let your kids watch it. Older kids are definitely going to be able to watch it and will probably enjoy it. It's got some beautiful, beautiful animation with these animals and birds and rats, and it's just got this amazing fantasy element to it. It's a really, really well executed movie and just, again, beautifully animated, but it's very dark. It's very grim. It can be frightening to very young children at times, but that's kind of also what makes it so cool and why it landed this number 2 spot on the list. It's got a great story just on top of this just sort of beautiful world that we don't get to see. Sort of they're under bushes in an old hollowed out trees, and it's this whole grand sort of fantasy world. I know a lot of people probably are aware of this movie, but if somehow this one slid under the radar and you've never seen it, especially if you find yourself to be a fan of anything fantasy, if you like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, any of that stuff, definitely check out The Secret of NIMH.
I implore you, Mr. Keaton, believe me. Mr. Soze is very real and very determined.
Well said.
And then my number 1 pick, which I think is the best movie currently available for free on YouTube, is The Usual Suspects. Now, this one I'm not going to say too much about. Hopefully a lot of you have seen it and maybe just weren't aware that it's been there. This is probably one that you haven't seen in a while, because I personally have not seen it on a streaming service in a really long time. But this has just got one of the most classic cast. It's got some classic moments. It's about this crime that takes place, and quote unquote the usual suspects are brought in and sort of questioned, and you're trying to figure out and unravel this mystery. This is one of Kevin Spacey's earlier roles, where he's sort of doing this narration and telling everything that's happening, and things are changing. The story sort of rewinds and sort of morphs based on who's telling it, and it's just really clever. It's got this great sort of baseline story, and then the way that story is told with the way the movie unfolds and how things change, it's not as confusing as it sounds, which is what makes this movie so great. It's very fun to watch. It's your typical rated R crime movie that's got all the language and everything in it, but it just is glued together way better than most, and that's why it has maintained to be like such a cult classic as well. If you've never seen it, it is a top tier Darren Van Dam pick. Definitely watch it while it's still on YouTube, because trust me, it will not stick around for long. But that's it for this list. Let me know in the comments which you plan on watching, and also thank the Patreon supporters. Here's everyone donating $5 and up a month. That is helping me move this channel forward. There's about to be more content coming out, including channel memberships. But if you want to become a Patreon supporter, follow the link in the description. Go check that out. And I will keep making videos like this one as long as you keep watching them. Thanks for checking out this episode, and you will see me on the next one.